Hi everyone, my name is Leanne Favre. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Today I'm going to be making you the Through the Grapevine. I was truly inspired by the story of Flor de Caña being a family-owned and operated business since 1890, and I really wanted to honor that tradition by sharing a story from my family. My family also immigrated from Italy to just outside of New York City, and I love all the stories that my grandparents will tell me about their parents wringing out these Concord grapevines and making this terrible wine that always tasted horrible and needed to be turned into vinegar. So some of this innovation and this experimentation, I really love how you can create things from accidents or mistakes and kind of find a new purpose and a reuse for ingredients. So today this is a very simple drink. I am making my own New York State grape soda. It's a combination of Concord grapes that remind me of my family's property. It has table grapes as well for light, bright tanginess and muskiness, as well as verjus, which is a non-alcoholic grape product, which is actually a sustainable byproduct of the wine production. And early in the season, they take unripe grapes, they go through and they thin the crops, and when they do that, they create this beautiful, acidic, bold verjus that adds acidity and works really well in non-alcoholic cocktails. Beyond that, I also remember my grandma talking about all the rosemary and mint that would grow in her yard. She would walk around and always brush it and smell the fragrance from it, so I had my mother bring me a rosemary plant today just so we could get the aromatics and the touch and sense of it. So let me get started here just so we don't get too far behind. But I'm going to build all of my cocktails in these recycled glass containers, melted down glass from bottles, reformatted into glassware, and using a little bit of olive brine. Olive brine is going to pair beautifully with some of the savory notes of the rosemary. It lends a platform for the umami character of the Flor de Caña with the beautiful black pepper spice notes and some of the other more woody barrel elements from the being barrel aged in New American oak. To match that, I'm using local New York honey that I took all of the stems from my beautiful rosemary garnishes and let them infuse in the New York honey. This way, that rosemary not only is the gorgeous garnish, but it also lends just a hint of herbal qualities. I love all of these elements because they really pull out the kind of grassy notes of the Flor de Caña and play off of the barrel aging. And then, of course, the star of the show, we're going to do 1.5 ounces of the Flor de Caña. Flor de Caña is completely sustainable, certified, zero carbon footprint, absolutely incredible spirits company, and I really drew inspiration on some of their practices. And that is why I decided to make my own soda. So by making my own soda, I am not using any single-use containers. I'm actually adding CO2 to this, just like Flor de Caña actually captures all of their CO2 and sells it to bottle companies and soda companies in Nicaragua. So really innovating on this and learning how to use different elements to avoid single-use packaging has always been a focus of mine. And then to make sure that this cocktail has enough acidity, I also acid adjusted it just enough with some malic and citric acid to avoid using imported citrus. So everything here is going to be local, organic, and from New York State. I'm using 2.5 ounces of this beautiful grape soda. That adds this musky, tangy flavor to it. It's super reminiscent and nostalgic of being at home while still being very adult and kind of elevated than your Concord grape sodas that you might remember as a kid. Really driving home the flavor of the vanillas that you get from barrel aging and just pulling the whole thing together. The effervescence is very subtle. It's very light, almost like what you would get in a mojito style cocktail, but driven by a lot more savory elements. Let me just break up some of this ice. I also chose to build in glass because I didn't want to have to use shaking ice and discard ice along the way. And do forgive me, this ice is looking a little wet. But we're going to do our best. We're going to make it work because we always do. And this way, all of the ice is captured in the actual cocktail itself, as well as being the most sustainable ice to create. The Scotsman machines are very energy efficient and produce a lot less energy waste compared to KD or any other larger format ice. So, bear with me as I just top these cuties off. And then we're going to get to the garnish. So one of my favorite things when I was creating this cocktail was thinking about all the different ways that I can use every single element of the drink that I'm using. As I already spoke about, the rosemary being used to its complete extent. Well, now the grapes. So for the New York State grapes, I actually went ahead and I reserved the skins, put them in a dehydrator, and then pulverized them with sugar. So what happens is I get this beautiful kind of like sweet and tangy element that allows me to add color to the top of this garnish. And I'm just going to give a little bit of this dusting here. As it gets wet, it kind of darkens and creates this beautiful aroma and appearance, while the rosemary lends a hand as well, kind of tying together all those savory characteristics of the cocktail, just being a really beautiful presentation. There we go. All right, judges. So this is the Heard It Through the Grapevine, just based on all of my family telling stories. And again, I wanted to tie in the garden element using my terracotta saucers from my plants back home. For you to try. Sorry about that dribble. I'm glad I got this coaster here for you. My pleasure. Cheers. Enjoy that. And then to pair as well, I'd like to offer you a piece of focaccia. This is homemade olive, rosemary, and grape focaccia for you. A little bit of salinity in there to play up and kind of highlight some of the yeast and doughy notes of the fermentation process of the rum itself. So just a little bit of salinity to keep you coming back for another bite and help you through the tasting day. There you are. Well, that is my cocktail. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.